So is it possible another Clinton could be better than another Republican
It's
next
possible.
time around?
It's possible.
Wow. That's just not any guy sitting around BSing with Mr. Carl here. That's Charles Koch, remember? Koch brothers, conservative mega donor, hero to the right, fossil fuels billionaire. He just said he consider, forget whether or not he'd do it, but the very fact that he would consider Hillary Clinton over the current crop of Republicans. And again, this is a guy who, between him and his brother, have gone to their pocket for more than $1 billion over the last few election cycles, doing everything possible to support conservative Republican candidates. And by the way, Koch's not alone. Here are a few big-name Republicans slamming the frontrunners, and that's not just Donald Trump, in their own party.
A good Republican would defend Ted Cruz after tonight. That ain't happening. If you killed Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate, and the trial was in the Senate, nobody could convict you.
First of all, in case anybody gets confused, I am not endorsing Ted Cruz. I hate Ted Cruz. And I think I'll take cyanide if he ever got the nomination.
If we Republicans choose Donald Trump as our nominee, the prospects for a safe and prosperous future are greatly diminished. If Donald Trump's plans were ever implemented, the country would sink into prolonged recession.
Romney's even boring there. Okay, so let me ask you something. Have you ever, in your lifetime, seen a party in such contortions? Old friends of yours in the House here and guys in the Senate saying we'd take cyanide before we pick one of the two.
And I understand it. I mean, Donald Trump is everything my parents taught me not to be.
Ted Cruz too.
And Ted Cruz, what really angered the senators was that he kept him there for a long time. That wouldn't have bothered me, but he had no alternative. He didn't have a plan to take its place. So they just saw it as grandstanding with no solution. So he doesn't have friends either. And the way I look at Koch, basically he was saying, I'm not for Trump, but he doesn't want to make it a Trump-Koch battle. He's basically saying he doesn't, thrilled with the Republican candidates. Well, there's only one right now who's, really relevant.
But explain, Chris, we're in May almost. It's stunning at this point in the political calendar for a campaign that's seemingly gone on for decades, right? That you have major donors, and it's not just the Koch brothers here, it's real money that's sitting out on the sidelines, and you have party leaders that are just like, I hate Trump, but give me a better alternative.
What's astonishing when you think that Trump basically wants to start a trade war, that he wants to collect 11 million Latinos and send them home. And what would be surprising that businessmen and women who are their job is to create jobs would be concerned about a candidate like that.
With all due respect, what's the real distinction with Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz doesn't believe that Donald Trump's deportation policy and immigration policy goes far enough. When Donald Trump said something about, the transgender bathrooms, Ted Cruz came out with one of the most offensive ads I've ever seen that just came out today. He's intolerant. He's totally a grandstander, and I think in a bizarre way, as much if not more than even Trump on that, and he's self-serving. I just don't see a better alternative there.
Okay, and so now you have John Kasich, and John Kasich, ironically, has never been the insider candidate. That's what's really humorous. They're saying you want some outside the system. He's been outside the system all his life. When he balanced the federal budget, he made more enemies.
Let me try this. If they get to Cleveland, Trump doesn't win on the first ballot, right, and assume that the only viable three candidates at that point are Trump, Cruz, and Kasich.
Right.
Beyond your affection for the man, what do you put Kasich's odds that when the musical chairs stop moving?
15%.
Wow. Wow.
But you know what? He's such a good candidate. I'm going for the 15%.
It's 15% with a bullet.
Mm. Have you ever seen anything like this in terms of, from the money folks, the establishment folks, this amount of disarray this late in the game? Usually they start to rally around the candidate even if they don't like him. Like they didn't, Mitt Romney was not beloved. But at this point, this time around, they started to say, okay, even the hardline conservatives and the southern ones will hold their nose and we'll go along to get along. in a funny way, it's getting even more velocity running away from the eventual nominee. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen something akin to this since what, like 1976 maybe, if you can even say it looked like this, and that's probably a stretch.
What was
But,
76, 74?
76
was
with Reagan and Ford when
I'm
their
sorry, I'm
battle.
sorry.
But, you know, I'm not even sure you can equate that
No,
to
you
this.
can't,
But
you
it's,
can't.
you know, there was a battle for the party. You know, maybe you can talk about the Democrats, you know, in the 80s. But,
Yep.
you know, I would just say this, you know, in an interesting way, on a very different note, Koch did the Republicans a favor and really, really hurt Hillary Clinton, because the last thing Hillary Clinton needs right now is a big-time
no
Wall
joke.
Street business
No
guy
joke.
saying,
No
It's
joke.
just too
listen,
late.
I
If this
am
is a month
for
and a half
Hillary
earlier,
Clinton."
I can make the Bernie Sanders ad. It's a great point you make, but it's just too late.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, brilliant.
No, that's
Charles
true.
Koch doesn't
It's true, right?
Charles Koch doesn't care about
Thank
any of
you.
the social policies that you were talking about before. They're only a tool for him to try to get more voters for the fiscal and economic policies, which is really the underlying foundation of everything that
Yep.
he and his brother care about. The timing of this is interesting. There's still enough time in the calendar where fortunes can change. There's still enough time where you can actually make, you know, changes at the convention. So Charles Koch is trying to apply pressure to the process and see if we can get anybody but Trump. I think he would be happier with Ted Cruz than he would be with Donald Trump. Cruz doesn't have the same fiscal and economic policies that Cruz does. Trump's are much riskier, and I think you heard Mitt Romney explain, you know, he thinks it would be a semi-permanent recession if the Trump policies were put into place, and there's a decent argument to be made for that. Cruz just wants to go back to conservative orthodoxy, which, by the way, is right in the wheelhouse of the Koch brothers. So he's trying to influence the decision and the remaining innings in this game.
I agree with that.
The congressman referenced the down ticket concerns right now.
Real. Those are real. Those are real.
House too, you think? Or you think it goes beyond the Senate, or is there just too many House seats you can never make it up in one election cycle?
Let's be honest about this. Trump could be successful. I'm not going to define successful right now, but he's not going to have coattails. People that like him like him. They like the wild maverick, if you will, who's throwing haymakers, and they may support him. They may turn out in record numbers, but I don't think they're going to go Trump on the Republican line and let's stay Republican down the line. And so it may hurt the party for some time to come. But I think this chaos is playing right into Trump's hands.
Absolutely.
Because he
I
does,
agree with you 100%.
Richard, let's be clear, he does not care about the party. It is about, just like when Bloomberg ran on the Republican line, it wasn't about the Republican Party. It was about this Democrat who could not get the Democratic nomination, so he paid his way onto the Republican line.
The difference is I don't think he wanted to destroy the Republican Party in the process. This guy, think
You
about.
think he wants to? I don't know if he, I just don't think he cares.
I think that Bloomberg cared to be gracious and to
Granted.
work with people on both sides out. This guy, he's making enemies of all the Cruz supporters, all the Kasich supporters, all the Rubio supporters. He's made enemies with so many people. They're going to have a hard time forgiving him.
My only point is, let's just not give any credit to Ted Cruz for being generous, magnanimous in any way, shape, or form here. I'll grant you everything you said about Donald, but Ted ain't that much better. All right, coming up next, we'll take a look at the Democrats and who Hillary Clinton could put on her ticket if and when she wraps things up. It's an interesting list with maybe some surprising names.